Welcome to Apex in 5 minutes. Today's problem is slightly advanced, so let me quickly just read the user story. Create a batch Apex class to populate a junction object. So what the problem is asking of us is that we need to read the information in the matches database, and from the information from this matches database we need to create records in the players matches database. Now, the player matches is the junction object, and what that means is that it contains information from two databases, and in this case, players and matches. So, what this code will do is it will scan all of these matches records, and if a player match record has not been created, it will create one. So, a player's matches record will simply contain a player's name, the score the player had in that particular match, and the score the opponent had in that particular match. And the reason for this is that what we would like to do is, or what we have done is that when we look at the information of the player, it will use the records from the junction object, which will contain the information from players and matches combined, and we'll use that information and gain insights. And in this example, the insights will be the highest score, the lowest score, the total points scored, the matches played, the wins, losses, all from getting the information from matches and players and populating it in the players' matches. So without further ado, let's get started.
Yeah, don't take 'em much, you mad. Woke up in the zone, sandbox on my screen, click deploy, run the flow, life feeling like a dream. I ain't hard coding, I abstract like a pro. Triggers bulkified, never moving slow. Call me governor, limits nightmare. Carry so tight, they don't fight fair. While they clicking buttons, I'm pushing apex. Wrote a class last night, passed every test. Yeah, apex in my veins, I don't feel pain. Flows in my brain, everything's changed. Agent Force watching, automating the game. It's just 5 minutes, but they'll remember the name. Deployment smooth, yeah, I get like a beast. Dashboards live, I just fed the feast. No you.
Okay, so that the first part took about 15 minutes. So in order to, the first part of the problem is to actually identify which database we would like to retrieve the information from. So the matches database or the matches object is where we would like to retrieve the information from, and this is what the start class is doing. And the reason it's called start is because we are actually using a template. So with Apex, when you state implements and then call something, the thing you're calling after you've written down implements means that the thing you're calling is a template, and a template is a blueprint. So with a template, there's pre-written code which makes achieving a certain result or creating a certain business logic. It means that that certain business logic will be accomplished quicker because some of the code has been already pre-written, and you just have to provide certain values or certain instructions for that particular problem. Like in this case, we would like to perform a batch we would like to perform a batch apex process, and this template is perfect for that job, and that's what the implements mean. So we are implementing a template that will take a database and and scan and let's say process it in batches. So that's basically what it's saying. It's going to that we're going to choose a database and it's going to process this database in batches. So this is amazing, especially when the database is massive. So it's going to process this database into in manageable pieces or manageable batches. That's basically what it's saying. So the class, what's quite interesting is the class type. So before that, when we are using a template, normally we have to use the class names of the template. So we have to have we have to use start, execute, and finish. If we change the name start, execute, and finish, it will not know which class to go to or which class okay, yes, which class we are referring to, because it is expecting a start class, a execute class, and a finish class. So that's the thing with templates. Everything, it's a blueprint that we would just need to follow. And with the start template, with the start class, the type that it's returning is database.query locator. So it doesn't store data, it actually points to the location of the data that we would like to process, which is quite unique. And what database batchable context does is it keeps record of what is occurring within this start class. And what we are doing is we are returning database dot get query. So what this get query locator is doing is that it is converting this SOQL inside of it into query locator data type. So if we just said return select ID, it wouldn't work. We first need to convert it, and database.get query locator is converting this SOQL code into the query locator data type. So it's just retrieving the location of the data that we would like to work with. And the data we would like to work with is the ID player, the player name of player one, player two, the scores of of team A and team B from the match database or object. And before we actually select that information, we first need to check whether the whether the information isn't already existing within the player match. So that is what we are checking. So we're avoiding duplication. So we're checking whether or not the ID is present already with in the player match database. Cool. The final part, or almost final part, took about 12 minutes. So in this part, so in the first part, we pointed to the data that we would like to process. And with the second part, we're actually going to process that data. So that's why it's called execute. So batchable database at batchable context. So in a database, I'm going to keep track of what is happening within this process, the process that is happening in this method while processing a database, and also a list. I'll be I'll be I'll be processing the matches. We're processing a list of type match, and I'll be calling it matches. And yeah, I'm also creating a player match list. So what I'm doing here now is I am moving row by row or record by record in the matches table. And what I'm doing is I'm taking player one, and then I am making a record of the details within that match relating to player one, and I am creating player match a player match record. Then I am doing the exact same thing with player two, getting information within this match record and creating a player matches record. And this is what that code is doing. So it's going line by line or row by row in the matches database. Then it's adding a new player match record, so a new junction object record, and it's using the information acquired in the matches database or in that particular matches row, and it's using that information to create this player match record. And it's doing the same thing here for player two. And as you can see, the code is quite similar. And at the end, I'm inserting the player match record, and the final and the finish line. So this is just a notification. This is fairly optional, a notification to notify you that okay, the batch processing has been successful and it's problem solved. And in the next episode, we'll go through how to go about creating a trigger. So when a new match is created, you want to have to now perform a batch process. You want to have to now scan all of the information. It will automatically now add a new player match record. So in the next episode, we'll just discuss how to go about it, and I'll just walk you through everything. Oh yes, and to run it. So to run the batch, oh, it's already done here. So you just have to say, okay, in a database, I would like to execute a batch. So process information piece by piece, or manageable pieces independently or asynchronously. And I'll be creating a new instance of the class. So you're basically selecting the class that will perform this batch, and then you just execute it, and it's sending the request, and then all done with the click of a button. Thank you for watching.